She still can't even stand.
She's so wobbly.
Zhang Weili is furious.
She's upset. But 100%.
Oh, what a fucking card do we have for you guys today. Welcome everyone to a brand new edition of Axe Kick Picks episode 104. Today is Friday, May the 17th, 2024. As always, I'm your host, D-Rock, and joining me from the beautiful state of South Carolina, Joey D. Joe, how you doing, kid?
Let alone an event. How about a loaded weekend? One Friday Fight 63 is currently on. ACA 175 will take place concurrently with Bellator Paris. And then tonight, not only LFA 184, but there's also Uriah Faber's A1 Combat 20. So we got a lot in store.
Yeah, got a lot in store today, a lot of store this weekend. We got one of the biggest heavyweight fights in, I guess, my lifetime. But you mentioned it off the top. We gave you some plays, Patchy Mix and Magomed Magomedov, Bellator Champion Series, the main event. We also got the Cedric Doumbé fight as well. Kicks off in about 2 hours from now, noon Eastern here on the East Coast. Joe, now that we do have totals, we got props, anything you really like for the main event? We'll start with the main event, Magomed Magomedov and Patchy Mix. I will say off the top, this has to be the last time they fight, right? Like, I mean, we need better competition for Patchy Mix, because I'll go out on the limb and I'll say, I don't want to say he's the best, but there's a lot of things holding me back from saying he's the best, but he's a top 2, top 3 bantamweight in the world.
That makes sense. That's fair. And, Magomedov may be a lower level Dagestanian wrestler in that regards, too. So I get what you're saying with terms of the competition. And, I didn't like the comments that Cedric Doumbé was saying towards Patchy Mix, kind of disrespecting him and saying that he was the main event. I think you alluded to that. But, yeah, even though Magomedov, I think, is a little lower level than Patchy Mix, I think it's, like we talked about the previous episodes, hard to beat the same guy twice. So I would look for no love, Patchy Mix via decision in this one. I think he can grind out a win. I think he'll out wrestle the dude. And, we saw him get a couple knockouts, flash knockouts, Patchy Mix, but I don't think that's his go-to, is to keep the fight standing. And I think Magomedov may be intelligent enough to defend well on the ground. So I think he'll get to the judges somehow. I don't see a finish in the main event. So give me no love via decision. I would definitely lean with Patchy Mix.
Yeah, Patchy Mix to win via decision is at plus 240. The fight to go all 5 rounds, plus 150. I was looking at, I agree. I think if it goes decision, Patchy Mix will edge out the victory. But I do think there's a chance where, he definitely has the ground game advantage. And I think maybe the ground and pound, he gets full mount control, maybe inside the distance. I think it's worth a sprinkle. Patchy Mix inside the distance at minus 120. I mean, it's favored for a reason. I just think maybe there's a possibility if he doesn't want to wrestle and just grapple for all 5 rounds, then maybe he goes the route you're talking about. But I think it's worth a shot. Maybe Patchy Mix inside the distance as well.
That's fair.
And Cedric Doumbé, yeah, you mentioned it. I just don't like the antics of, kind of overlooking his opponent this weekend.
Throwing the shirt at him in the face.
The whole thing, basically
everybody when he
disrespecting
needs to give respect to get respect, because I think right now after that loss, I don't think a lot of the community does respect him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we all know he's one of the best prospects that PFL and Bellator has. My thing is, you've been here for a minute. Let's pump the brakes, to say to the best. See, my bias is coming out. I said Patchy Mix is the best right now. To say to Patchy Mix and even Magomed Magomedov in his own respect, to say and disrespect them and say you're the main event, I just don't like that. I think it's uncalled for. He said he's going to tell the crowd after he gets his finish that he is going to tell the crowd to stay there for the main event. Like, bro, I get it. It's in your backyard.
We can say you're the people's main event, but you can't say it.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, bro, now that the totals are out, I think he's overlooking his opponent. He's already talking about his next fight being in Saudi Arabia. I'm going to go over 1.5 rounds. I think Jalen Willis, I think he's going to survive the first round. If he doesn't get starched or put away in the first minute and a half, I think he's going to wrestle. He's going to take a page out of Baki's book, try to wrestle him for the round. Over 1.5 rounds is at minus 110. I think that's some good value. You think he could last maybe a round and a half?
Yeah, if you look historically in his resume, Jaleel Willis does get to the judges' scorecards more than 60% of the time. So
Mhm.
I do like I do like seeing the over in that one. He may be willing enough to trade into the pocket, but then again, smart enough to kind of escape and get out of there and stay away from danger. So
Yeah.
I do see a later fight, but I got to go with what I said was last week. I got to go with Dubé finding Chin, getting a
Yeah.
KO. I do agree it could happen maybe midway through the second round and possibly late, which I do think he needs more cage time, Cedric Doumbé. So
Yeah.
it could be favorable for him in him getting his experience, his MMA experience, because we all know his kickboxing pedigree. So
Yeah.
I think Jalil Willis will be a little more competent than what we're expecting.
Now, the rest of the card, a lot of big favorites. You and I were talking before the show, and a lot of big favorites. Not the best card, if I'm being honest. I do like the co-main in the main event, but we got Aspen Ladd. I think that fight is kind of interesting. I would say it's the closest on the odds. I mean, she's a -178 favorite. Her opponent can't pronounce it, plus 185. Any other play or anything you kind of see value here in a Bellator Champion Series?
Ekaterina Shakalova.
And you're great at
Shakalova.
announcing. Yeah, and you're great at pronouncing.
Shakalova. Sorry, it took me a second. I read that a little quick. I've seen Mike Shipman before somewhere. Mansour Barana, I think we've seen him out. So there's a couple recognizable names. I remember pay attention to Archie Colgan. Remember I shouted him out last episode? So pay attention to Archie Colgan taking a Theobald Guti, ex-UFC guy. If Colgan can show up against Guti, then the level that he may be.
Archie Colgan -650 right now. Huge favorite. He's one of the biggest favorites on the card. Mike Shipman +600 as well. So a lot of big dogs. If you like value in dog hunting, I think there's a lot of
chalk. I think we're gonna have to try to set up a parlay. You know how that goes. All it takes is one.
Exactly. But Joe, good luck. It's gonna be great fights. I'll keep you updated throughout the day. But before we get into our plays for UFC Vegas 92 back at the Apex, a quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you each and every episode by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. There's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV, Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just like we like our lives. Whether it's Huckleberry playing around a golf with the boys, or an elderberry watching Fury Usyk, it doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with the Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Kick Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. All right, kid, let's go to it. This is the last fight UFC card. We got a week off next week, and then it's the big one, 302. But back at the Apex, headlined by a featherweight bout, Lerone Murphy taking on Edson Barbosa. Main card starts at 7 p.m. Prelims start at 4 p.m. So we get to go to bed at a decent time tomorrow.
Right.
But yeah, first fight of the night, kid. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm starting off with the first fight of the night, literally. But I think the main event makes for an interesting one, to be honest with you.
I like it.
It does a lot for the division. It really does. So we'll take off in the strawweight division, the women's strawweight, and it's Emily Ducote at -315 taking on Little Monster Demo, Vanessa Demolopoulos. She's a +280 when I last saw her. I actually seen more money come in on Gordina Ducote, but I got to go with the value. You look at their odds. It's very significant that Ducote is going to get a win here. You think her skill level is, that much greater than her opponent, but I got to take the value in the first fight of the night. Both of these fighters are going to decision about 50% of the time of their career. So if you're going with 50% chance that either fighter could win, because they both have a 50-50 record when it gets there as well, I got to go with the +200, +300 dog to start us off, getting you guys some value early. And I think she has the ability to out-grapple Ducote. I think you want to stay away from the feet. Emily Ducote might have a little better, striking. So give me Vanessa Demopoulos at moneyline +280. That's what I got.
Starting with the dogs. I love it.
Yeah, they're barking early. And I have no official play in the next fight, the men's bantamweight. It's Allenton Gailey +130 taking on Clayton Rodriguez at -148. Though I may think it's a banger. So I just wanted to stay clear of two guys throwing caution to the wind. In the women's strawweight, we make a trip back. Piera Rodriguez, off her return from her cancel bout against Cynthia Calvillo, She's a minus 210 favorite, taking on Ariane Carnelossi at plus 188. We haven't seen Carnelossi in a long time. She's been on the UFC payroll for all this time that she's been going from the sport. So it's been like +3, +4 years, maybe since the pandemic, that she's being paid without having to fight. So something tells me that she is a rather tough competitor. Piera Rodriguez does get a lot of finishes here. And I think with these bigger girls, though they're in the strawweight division, I want to see if they made weight. I actually look at the weight makings if you've heard any news. I was concerned about their ability to cut down because they are both actually pretty big competitors, cutting down to 115. So with that being said, I think someone's going to get a little tired in there, and I think that they won't make it to the judges either side. So I don't have a side, but I have the fight not going the distance at plus 180. I got pretty good value on a finish in the third fight of the night.
Real quick, Joe, weigh-ins haven't started yet. They start in about an hour or two. We are recording this a little earlier than normal, but yeah, just want to let you know weigh-ins have not started.
Sweet. All right, cool. But let's go right into the middleweight division where Abbas Magomedov minus 267 takes on Warlley Alves at plus 245. I always liked Warlley Alves. I think he kind of does live up to the, first root of his name, war. I do think he goes in there and goes to war, but his chin's kind of gone as is late in his life. And Abbas Magomedov, he's a first round train. I think you want to avoid him at all costs in the early rounds, but he tends to gas. So I would think that Warlley Alves could, if he could stay composed and keep his endurance going into the later rounds, I do think he could be live. But that first round's going to be a son of a bitch. So I gotta lean Abbas Magomedov because I'm scared of Warlley's chin, and I'm scared that maybe even in the early of the second round he could still get caught. So just a little more ways to win for Abbas Magomedov. I haven't seen it hit the mat all too much with him, so I'm not really concerned about a Warlley Alves submission. And if it goes to the judges, I think Abbas is going to make it. But minus 267, not really playable. That's why Abbas is an official lean.
Mm-hmm.
So we go into the women's bantamweight divisions, and Tamaris Vidal Tratora at plus 300 taking on Melissa Gatto at minus 310. And man, I think this is a really closely contested fight. I don't see how Vidal is a plus 300 here. Gatto, she's had pretty close calls in her career, and as of late as well. So Vidal, yeah, she's coming off a loss, but look at who she's fought. I think she's fought a couple of the girls and beaten a couple of girls that Melissa Gatto has actually lost to. And she's staying at 135. So she's a bigger girl compared to Gatto, who's coming up to 125. So I think this fight is a little closer than the odds are making it out to be. I don't have a play because of that. I think, you could have gone with the minus 300 and said, yeah, I'll lay the chalk, got to put her in a parlay and then bust your parlay. Or you could have said, what, I'm going to take the dog and then just lose out on some money. So I didn't want to put an official play here, and I'm staying away from that fight because, like I said, I do think the odds makers have this wrong. I think this should be closer to a pick 'em. So let's move right along. I think we're almost there to the main card, but we have a couple fights between there, and then light heavyweight division I'm seeing is going to be the next one between Omar Sy at minus 435 taking on Tuco Tokos at plus 360. I don't think anyone wants to fight this Omar Sy guy. No. Another French superstar, we had him square off against Rodolfo Bellato. He withdrew, and then Antonio Tricoli, he withdrew. So now we have Tuco Tokos coming up to fight this dude, and I don't think it's going to favor him at all. I do think in this regards the line is right. I like what I've seen out of Omar Sy. I think he's explosive. He can also finish him with grappling. I think he's more of a well-rounded fighter than, say, Cyril Gane in terms of the French camp. So maybe even Cedric Doumbé, who we talked about, being kind of like, one trick pony, if you would. But yeah, I got to put Omar Sy as a first leg of a parlay here because there is no way to play that chalk. I think he can get it done any which way he wants if it goes dominantly to decision or if he gets a finish. So minus 435 is a first leg of a parlay, but I might go as well and do specific KO TKO because I do think he has live hands. So I got two parlays, both with the same guys, but two different methods. So it's Omar Sy as the first leg of both of them, one money line and one via KO TKO. All right. Now let's go right into the next fight. And it's in the lightweight division. And a lot of people have high praise for Tom Nolan at minus 450. He's the biggest favorite on the card. But
yeah,
what have we been seeing, man? The biggest favorites on the cards have been busting. Victor Martinez is live to me at plus 380. I think it's tremendous value. I think Tom Nolan's still young in his career. He hasn't really gone through the grindstone of like the rankings and seeing top level competition. And Victor Martinez may be a dog, man. So at plus 380, you know I got to take them. I haven't been proven by Tom Nolan yet, and because he's that big of a favorite, and because the favorites have been losing, and I think he got caught his last time. I think he got knocked out. If I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. Tom Nolan. Let's see here. His last time out, yeah, and it was by Nicholas Mota. I think everyone in the world also had Tom Nolan at that time because Nicholas Mota was descending a little in his career, but Tom Nolan got knocked out by Mota in the first round. So don't like that. I think that is a bad sign. I think Victor Martinez may, take after what Nicholas Mota has done and try to get a finish early. 13-5, that's 18 total fights professionally compared to Tom Nolan's 7. I think experience is going to weigh heavy in that main event of the prelims. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, sir. I see it flipped. I see the Tom Nolan one is the future thing, and then Tuco Tukaros and Omar Sy is the future.
They're really trying to promote that kid then, Omar Sy.
Yeah.
Wow, how about that? Okay, so failure to mention it the right method and the right way, but I think originally they had them as the first fight of the night, and I think they saw like.
Are you looking on Topology? Is that why?
On all different things.
Okay.
Yeah, even the UFC website as well. And I saw Umar Sy at the bottom, starting off the card, kicking off.
Wow.
Card. But I think that they said, like, you know what, he might be a star, and let's kind of highlight him instead of throwing him as the first fight. So we made it to the main card of UFC Vegas 92, and it starts off with your girl Angela Overkill Hill in the strawweight division. She's a minus 135 favorite, taking on Luana Pinheiro at plus 131. D-Rock, take it away in this one. What do you got?
Yeah, the always scrappy Angela motherfucking Hill. Give me her straight up on the money line, minus 139. And I got my long shot prop of the night. Angela Hill via third round KO TKO at 30-1. As much as I like to bust her balls, I honestly think Angela Hill is one of the most improved fighters, period. Honestly, she's a great striker. Her cardio's there. She could grapple. And on the other side, I think mentally, Luana Pinheiro, she's one of the weakest fighters mentally. She does a lot of good things in the first round, but then she gives up when things aren't going her way as the fight goes on. And when Hill is taking over later in the fight, she's a dog. She's gonna take over this fight. And I think that's going to be too much for her. I think Pinheiro, she will give up. And I think Hill's going to pull away late. Great spot for her. I'm going to take her straight up on the money line. I'm also going to long shot of the day. KO TKO finish in round 3 at 30-1.
We saw it from Amanda Hebus, who's not really a striker, get Pinheiro out of there in the late third round. So to your point, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Angela Hill's got great endurance, great cardio, stamina to be able to stay there in her face in the later rounds. And, I was really deciding if I wanted to go with that, but man, I look at the age difference, and yeah, she might be fine at her age, but it's about a 10-year age gap, and you know how statistically that works. I got to go take my 3/4 chance of the younger fighter getting the victory, and she's a dog. It was very enticing, so I go with Luana Pinheiro on this spot. Looking about the value here, and I do think you said it. She has a lot of potential in the first round, so though she may not have more wins to win, because I think Angela Hill may have the advantage when it comes to the striking and when it comes to the decision, I'm taking a shot with Pinheiro maybe getting a first-round submission, because Angela Hill has been caught in her career a couple times now. So there's a chance it gets on the judges for her, but it's not likely. That's why she's a dog. I think the odds makers are right, but I'm taking a shot with Luana Pinheiro, possibly getting it done in one, as Angela Hill has lost there a couple times. But, hey, she's burned me a couple times twice. I think she's trying to steadily improve her record late in her career, Angela Hill. So no longer a 500 fighter. So let's go right into the next fight. In the bantamweight division, Adrian Yanez, minus 350, is taking on Vinicius Salvador at plus 310. And my boy, I do think the odds are right here. I think Yanez, he's fought 2 tough dudes, back-to-back losses, and they were tough losses, but I think the level of competition and where we thought Yanez was at was a little higher than where he needs to be. So I think they pushed him a little too soon, and I think he got humbled, and he learned a lot, and I think he's gonna make a big comeback here, and he's fighting a favorable matchup. Vinicius Salvador plus 310. He's a 125-pound guy going up to 135. We were seeing that in another fight earlier in this card. I think he's going to be the smaller dude. I think Adrian Yanez is going to have not only the the size advantage. I think he's going to also have the reach advantage. I'm liking everything I'm seeing out of this dude in his comeback fight. He needs one here. So I got to go with Yanez. Putting him on the money line with the second leg of the parlay, it's minus 172. That would be Adrian Yanez and Omar Sy, both straight up. But I don't have odds yet for Omar Sy's via KO TKO. So with Adrian Yanez via KO TKO at minus 115, I think you may get slight plus money odds once Umar Sy's via KO TKO odds drop. So just wanted to mention that there. But those are the two parlays that I have with the two same fighters and the two methods for you. Kind of a, play on words, if you would. So let's go right into the next fight and the featured bout of the evening. In the welterweight division, Ramez Birhamaj at plus 126 is taking on Themba Gorimbo at minus 134. D-Rock, are you taking your boy here?
I'm going to sound like a broken record moving forward, but give me the over 1.5 rounds at minus 160. I'll stay away from the side as much as I like Gorimbo and his story. I've been going back and forth all week. I do think, pronounce his first name? Ramez?
Yeah, it's Ramez.
Ramez.
Yeah.
I think he's live. I do think he's live as a dog. He's going to have the advantage on the ground. I think we're going to see a lot of clinching in this fight. And if we do get a finish, it's going to be later in the fight. I think they feel each other out first round. And like I said, if there is a finish, I think it's later in the fight. So give me over 1.5 rounds at minus 160.
I think that's fair. He's beating low-level competition in the UFC, Ramez. But, Max Griffin took him out. Court McGee, seeing how he's wound up in the later stages of his career, that's a bad loss, in my opinion. I think Themba Gorimbo is fighting with a heavy heart and, fighting for a lot. I think he's going to be well-motivated. I know he was shedding tears for his coach's mother and, thoughts and prayers with her because that's just tragic. And, that shout out the coach for not mentioning anything to his fighter to not have him worry about it. I think obviously news will, show up and he learned it and he finally said the truth. But throughout training camp, he kept that from Themba so he can focus on what he needs to do. And that's, that's a lot of respect to the head coach of Themba Gorimbo. So I think he's got a lot to prove. He's got a lot to fight for. He's fighting for The Rock, you know what I mean? And above all, he's fighting for himself and his country. So I got to go with Themba Gorimbo, taking him minus 134. Less experience in the UFC, but I think more heart. And I think that's going to pay dividends in this featured bout. And I think the crowd, even though it's going to be at the Apex, I think you're going to hear a little roar coming for him. I think they're going to get behind him. So I'll be rooting actually for Themba Gorimbo because my emotions are high for that one.
Do we get to UFC Vegas 100? Because I know Dana White has come out. I'm tired of them. I used to like them, and they got us through.
But we have all these cities that would definitely boost their economy, and people were going to show up. I mean, it's the biggest sport in the world. Who wouldn't want to go to a UFC event?
And that's the thing, it was good when it was pandemic and everything was kind of shut down, but half of these not half, I would say 90% of these fighters want to go and make the walk in front of crowds.
Exactly.
So, I love it, but
why do they do it? Why do we do it? We do it because we want the fanship. We do it for the fans. So it's just what we want. So Dana White will oblige to that and understand there's money to be made outside of the Apex. Yeah, 100%. They're saving money, but I don't think they're making as much. Yeah, TV deals, but they could make a lot more gate. You can make concessions. You could do good for the places you go.
Like, look at St. Louis last week. The crowd was amazing. Yeah. Biggest gate. 15,000. We saw Austin last year. We were at Charlotte. Yeah. I was at Atlantic City. I mean, these crowds love it. So yeah, I just had to throw that out there.
And if you're at any of those events as compared to like a bigger arena for a pay-per-view, there's not a bad seat in the house for these fight nights, really,
because they're in smaller venues. That's a great point.
So that's the thing. You're going to have a good chance to witness the entirety of the event and get a good sight on it. So yeah, I think that's the move. I really do. We don't need to go to these specialized Apex events unless, there comes a time to use it. I think that should be a one-off kind of yearly thing, maybe. And then they have the WWE do their event there. Yeah. I think they're doing that too. So in the co-main event for the welterweights, Chaos, Kalen Williams, minus 122 is taking on Carlston Harris at plus 115. And a lot of people are thinking Carlston Harris is live, my boy. But I got to go with Chaos Williams. He's burned me a couple times off of fading him. I think he has that one punch knockout power that Carlston Harris doesn't have. Though Carlston Harris, in his pedigree may have the grappling advantage, but I think Chaos Williams seemed competent. I like the sprawls I've seen. He's just a very aggressive fighter. The nickname, the Ox Fighter, kind of says it all. I mean, he's dangerous when he gets in there. And going to distance with Orlando Bedoya at 288, we saw that live. I think helped him out because now he can learn to pace himself and he can edge out a judge's decision. But yeah, I got to go with the favorite on here. I'll lay to minus 122. Another big age gap as well coming into factor. But yeah, I do. Even though I am taking Carl, I gotta admit that Carlston Harris is live. But I'm going Chaos right here.
Yeah, should be an interesting fight, Joe. This is another fight where I was going back and forth all week on a side, and ultimately, I just stayed away from the side. I took the over 1.5 rounds at minus 150. If you look at Williams and who he fought, outside of those early finishes in his first two fights, he has started to go deeper into the fight, 3 rounds after 3 rounds. You mentioned it. We know he has the power, but if he doesn't get that off early, he's okay, in my opinion. I think Harris will have the advantage on the ground. Chaos, he's also been inactive for a while, which kind of scares me off him a little bit as well. But if Williams doesn't tag Harris early, I feel like we're going to see a longer fight drag into the late second, early third. So I'm going to go over 1.5 rounds at minus 150 again.
Yeah, let's look at it. In the UFC, Carlston Harris started off hot, 2 first-round finishes, but then lost first round to Shavkat. And then in those last 2, which you could take more stock in, they've gone the distance and ended in the 3rd round. So I think that's something that a lot of people are seeing. There's definitely plus money involved if you get this fight going to the judges, because it's a favorite to finish. Someone's going to get a finish. It's like minus 200. So, and if you look at Chaos Williams, same thing. Miguel Baeza was a 3rd round knockout, a Randy Brown split decision loss, and then a Ronda Bedoya split decision win. So, yeah, it's actually looking like, even though they have finishing capabilities, as of late, the fights have been going deep into the fight. So, yeah, I think that's a great analysis on that co-main event. But we've made it to what is the main event of UFC Vegas 92, and it takes place in the featherweight division between Edson Jr. Barbosa at plus 125, taking on LaRon Murphy at minus 138. D-Rock, I'll hand it off to you. What do you got?
Yeah, Barbosa, he's been an underdog, cashing in his last 2 fights as dog, and I think he makes it 3 in a row as a dog. It's hard to imagine Barbosa being the underdog here after what he did in his last fight against Sadiq Youssef. A very hard-nosed win. It didn't look like he was getting tired or that age that was impacting him. If you can't put him away, he's going to wear you out as the fight goes on. He has the kicks, he has the striking, and he could change the fight at any time. The cardio is there. He has great fight IQ. The question for me in this fight is, LaRon Murphy ready for this step up in competition? We'll see. I don't think so. He's had some tough fights. He never fought a 5-rounder before. I get it. He's an undefeated prospect, but I just don't see it right now. I do think the fight goes a little longer. I like over 3.5 rounds at minus 150. Murphy has never been finished or even come close to being finished. And as long as if he doesn't starch Barbosa early in the fight and where he can't recover, I think the fight goes all 5 rounds, if I'm being honest. Someone will get the decision win. You can't even compare resume. This is his 30th UFC walk. I mean, he's been in the ringer with everyone. Yeah. Murphy, you can't even compare it. So I love the over 3.5 rounds at minus 150. But I got to go with the dog, Edson Barbosa, on the money line plus 125.
Yeah, LaRon Murphy, he doesn't have that X factor, which I think you need in Edson Barbosa fights, which is the grappling, the ability to throw up submissions. Because you look at Edson Barbosa, and anytime he gets in a firefight, he normally comes out victorious. There's a couple times that he's wound up on the short end of a striking exchange, but
yeah, man, he's a little chinny sometimes.
But for the most part, man, the way he gets caught is by, trying to throw him to the ground and use jiu-jitsu against him. Even though he's competent there, he's got some submission wins himself. He's got more submission losses than anything. So I think that's the way to catch him. And LaRon Murphy's not going to present that. He's a stand-up fighter. He's like shades of Leon Edwards in that regards, tremendous kickboxer and just no X factor, which I think Edson Barbosa, can get hurt off of, which is the submission. So I got to go with LaRon Murphy in this spot. As much as I just explained, it is no X factor being involved. I think he's very good. That's what I'm going to say. I think LaRon Murphy, I don't think we've really been exposed to him just all that yet. But I think if he can bloody up Edson Barbosa, that's what I think it is. As for Edson Barbosa, it's not really chinny. It's more that he's got a lot of scar tissue. Like you said, 30 professional UFC fights. He's been through the ringer. He's fought the who's who of every weight class he's been in. So Edson Barbosa is going to give LaRon Murphy a run for his money. But if he could show up and be like, hey, like I'm actually a very high level fighter, LaRon Murphy can prove a lot to a lot in his weight class and a lot to us. So I got to go with, even though I'm laying a little bit of chalk, I got to go with LaRon Murphy. He hasn't lost a fight yet, so I've yet to be. I know he has that draw against Tukhugov, but
and he's a beast.
That dude was a beast, and that was young in LaRon Murphy's career. And like you said, he's only what is it? He's got 13 wins and no losses. That's Edson Barbosa has like that many in his back pocket, pretty much like the 13
literally.
career fights. So I mean. And when it comes to experience, Edson Barbosa's got it all the way. And coming off those 2 tough wins, I mean, he knocked out Billy Q. He showed Sodiq Yusuff what's up when it gets to high level. But, maybe Sodiq was a little, we see now those 2 wins weren't the best. Billy Q, then again, comes out after the Edson Barbosa loss, and we thought he'd get it back, and he lost. And then Sodiq Yusuff, we saw how he just got finished, but that could be speaking more to Diego Lopes. So maybe not taking too much away from Edson Barbosa, but I got to just see where LaRon Murphy's heading towards. Maybe if he gets a finish, I don't see him being able to finish Barbosa. I like your over 3.5 rounds. It's even favored to do so. But if he can somehow finish him early, maybe LaRon Murphy can get on the Manchester card.
I will say, for as good as LaRon Murphy has been, he doesn't fight a lot. He just fights 1 time a year. And, as a really undefeated prospect that I feel like they want to push, he should be fighting more.
He fought
frequently.
twice last year.
He's averaging 1.5 fights per year.
100%, and he had a layoff the year prior to that.
So I don't know. I hate guys that are inactive. It's just, but sometimes you need to take the time off. Look at Veronica Hardy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might bode well to some fighters. As we said, we know all too well in the PFL, some fighters will excel off fighting 4 times a year, and some fighters would fight better just once a year. So it really depends on who you are and the situation you're in. So
Yes, sir.
That's it for UFC Vegas 92, my boy.
Yes, sir. Let's go to the Ring of Fire, Joe. Boxing, one of the best heavyweight fights of, I guess, my lifetime. Tyson Fury taking on Alexander Usyk, going down in the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. For the first time in 24 years, boxing will crown the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis, and for the first time, in a 4-belt era. So I'll let you lead it off, kid. What do you got?
Yeah, bro. So, I got to touch the co-main event because I have high regards of Jai Opetaia. I had him ranked in my pound for pound. I just like his footwork. I think the power he presents is tremendous. And I think he's coming for the cruiserweight title and very well might see Usyk if he doesn't come out on top in the Ring of Fire. So he's a -600 favorite, -550, depending on where you see against Maris Briedis at +470. I don't think Briedis has his shot. We've seen him get starched before, and I think he'll do it again. Opetaia via KO TKO at -155. That's how favored him getting a knockout will be. It could be early, it could be late. If you want to play it specific and do the first to 6 or the late 7 to 12, I'd actually side with the first to 6. I think Jai Opetaia can catch him early, so that's surprising. But I bet you'd get some plus odds for that. And then in the main event, Tyson the Gypsy King Fury is -110 against Alexander the Cat Usyk at +110 is when I saw it. Now it's kind of a pick'em. Is that correct?
So right now, as we're recording this, Tyson Fury is -115, +120 for Alexander Usyk.
Wow. So money has come in on Tyson Fury.
Yep.
How about that?
For good reason.
For good reason. And as much Usyk is a dominant fighter, he's very skillful, Olympic gold medalist, that he's got all the footwork in the world. I think Fury can match him with the footwork, and he's going to be the bigger fighter in there. Yeah. And I think he's worked hard for this fight. I really do think he just took Francis Ngannou for granted. Totally overlooked him, was looking directly towards Usyk. I know he's not looking at him directly in the press conferences and weigh-ins, but he is definitely focused on Usyk, and he's looking in tremendous shape. Obviously, he's always got his, beer belly body. But, dude, if you look at the overall comparison to where he was and where he is right now, Fury's ready for this. I know he come off the cut that kind of postponed this fight from happening earlier, but that very well may have favored him as well. If it happened or didn't happen, it was smart to definitely wait until he was entirely ready with his camp. So now that Tyson Fury's ready, Usyk is going to have to, play the outside, but that's Tyson Fury's game. So everything that Usyk has to do, I think Fury can match and do better here. And I'm seeing, storylines past this. I know Tyson Fury gets a victory or Usyk gets a victory and they have a rematch clause. But what I'm seeing is if Fury does win, regardless if they rematch or not, Usyk's going to have to go down and defend his cruiserweight against Jai Opetaia, who's a dangerous guy. So I like Jai Opetaia up and coming and maybe even catching Usyk there once that fight happens. And then we can see the fight we all wanted to see, which would be Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, I got Tyson. Well, like you said, I think this is the first. I know. I mean, regardless of what the commission says about ordering them to fight whoever they want, I do think Turki Al-Ashit in his excellency, he has some strings to pull. They have a rematch clause in this, so it's going to be 1 of 2 fights. Winner of them, like you said, is going to fight AJ, which it's surprisingly enough, AJ is the A side, it seems like now.
He's the A side.
And he's just chilling, waiting back. But you're right. I got to go with Tyson Fury here. I agree. He's come out this week and said, I was dealing with some things during the Francis Ngannou fight camp. Not to make excuses, but I agree. I think he overlooked him. And as good as Usyk is, he's going to go up against a fighter, like you said, size advantage, mobility. And I just don't think he's equipped to handle that. Yes, Usyk beat Joshua twice, but I don't really see that happening here.
Styles make fights.
Yeah, and Tyson Fury's movement, his kind of awkwardness, I just think it's going to give Usyk fits, and any attempt, to take this fight to Fury or inside the run, I think he's going to risk Usyk maybe having to get knocked out, and that's going to be my long shot as well. I'm going to take Fury on the money line. I got him at minus 115, and I'm going to give a shot with Fury to win by knockout at plus 300. All signs are pointing for, the 37-year-old Usyk to get knocked out. And, he's going to go in there. He's going to try to rush him. And I just don't think that's a recipe for success. Fury is the best heavyweight of my generation. Yeah. And there's no one around yet ready for them to change that. I mean, I think he's going to drop him maybe once. Second time, it's going to be like Anthony Joshua dropped Francis Ngannou. And Saudi Arabia is going to go crazy. So I'm gonna take Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, to win on the money line minus 115, and I like Fury to win by knockout at plus 300. You can get that over at DraftKings.
Those are my exact plays as well. I have him officially at money line because I think that's easily playable. But then go ahead and just take the long shot of him getting the knockout, because look at his last fights. Besides the Francis Ngannou, finishes Wilder twice. Finishes Dylan White. Derek Chisora, you know what I mean? He's actually a finisher, and if it ever gets to the judges' scorecards, it's dominant. It's normally a unanimous victory. Granted, the Wilder fight, the first one, he got dropped and survived, but for the most part, he outboxed him the entire time. I don't think I've ever seen Tyson Fury get outboxed. He's outboxed everyone he's ever fought, and he's finished a lot of them. So yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. We're on the same side for both main event plays.
Yeah, so if you want to look at the odds real quick, Tyson Fury straight up plus minus 120 or minus 115 to win by knockout, plus 300 for Fury to win by points or decision, plus 210. And on the other side, if you want the dog, Usyk plus 120 on the money line to win KO, TKO, plus 600, or to Usyk to win by points or decision, plus 185.
I think that's more likely that Usyk may edge out a slight decision victory, but
should be great though. Should be really fucking
good. It's gonna be fun. I think the card may, actually show up because you got a couple title fights besides the co-main event. Because, like I said, that's for the the Jai Opetaia fight against Maris Briedis is for the Ring Magazine and IBF cruiserweight title. But Joe Cordina is undefeated, taking on Anthony Case, and it's for the IBF, IBO World Super Featherweight title. So we got a couple title fights beforehand.
Yeah, shout out His Excellency. Always putting on a great card in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So great. And Joe, you're going to be home. It's going to be early. We got this. It goes right into the UFC. It's going to be a banging Saturday night. Right. Let's go into some news and bots before we get to 10 seconds left. We got some news for UFC Vegas 93, the next fight night at the Apex, which will be on June 15th. Instead of Tesoro Tara taking on Joshua Van. It will now be the headlining five-round main event. Alex Perez and Tesoro Tara will be the main event. Tigrar Ulanbekov versus Joshua Van will be the co-main event. Do you
So they
like the
did
switch
some-
up?
They switched it all up, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
Tagir was supposed to fight Alex Perez originally,
Yes.
and Tatsuro was supposed to fight
Joshua Van.
Josh Van.
And they switched it up and they made
Oh,
him the
wow.
main
So
event.
who's
You like that?
Who's the main event again?
Alex Perez and Tesoro.
Wow.
Five-round main event.
Alex Perez just getting main events. That's interesting. But
Impressive win last time.
I mean, yeah, dude. Oh man. Definitely gonna have to stay away from the ground against Tyler. And for Josh Van, I would think I would favor him a little bit.
You like Joshua Van.
I do a lot. I think his boxing's crisp, and I think he's a very volume. He's in shape. He's got great cardio. And Tagir, I think that's a clash of style. I think he's going to want to wrestle as well. So I'll be honest, I'm leaning with Josh Van in the co-main event. And then I'm going to be based towards Tyra in the main event.
Joe, I'm burying the lead here, but the Iron Turtle is back, baby. Brad Tavares will take on Jung Young Park, UFC Vegas 94. It's unfortunate it's at the Apex, but July 20th, the Iron Turtle, baby. Give me him all fucking day.
Yeah, Brad Tavares is a dog, though, man. Shout out the Ooses, you know what I'm saying? Our Hawaiian brothers, he never fails to, bring it, and he's a career UFC fighter. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good one, and Iron Turtle has a lot to prove. So he definitely needs a win over Brad Tavares, but Brad Tavares always plays spoiler.
He was robbed last fight. I will die on that hill.
Yeah.
But we got 3 more fights that were announced for that July 20th Apex card. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't understand why she's not on September card. Maybe she wanted to get a fight earlier. But Tracy Cortez, she's going to take on Miranda Maverick, UFC Vegas 94. We got Amanda Lemos taking on Vereen Jaradoba, and Cody Duran taking on Bruno Silva. All 4 of those fights are on the Apex card. Pretty good Apex card.
Yeah, stacked one. Absolutely. Yeah, I like those matchups throughout the whole lot of them.
Are you surprised they didn't put Tracy Cortez on UFC Noches on September?
A little bit, but I don't. She I think she's representing USA, her flag that she, even though she has Mexican heritage, I think that she represents the USA flag. So that shouldn't mean anything. Like Brian Ortega does the same. I think a lot of fighters do, but it's not like they're losing out. Like if you had, say, a Mexican fighter with the flag representing the country, yeah, it'd be best to kind of save them for the sphere.
And we have a top 5 women's strawweight bout between Verana Jaradoba taking on Amanda Lemos. I mean, that is a low-key banger.
I think Jan Jaradoba proved a lot in her last fight.
Yeah.
And if she's not favorited, I think she's live regardless. So I think the X factor is how skillful she seems to be when it comes to scrambles and the grappling exchanges. She seems highly educated there.
And, not the quickest turnaround, but, after that very controversial loss, Bruno Silva turns around and takes on a very game Cody Duran, who all-American wrestler. I mean, the way Cody Duran is just a dog. I mean, this is no easy fight for Bruno Silva at all.
No, but I don't want to hear another press like post fight from Cody Duran. I'm kind of
you're out on him.
Yeah, I think he talks a little and can't back it up at times. I want to see him get the wins under his belt and then talk his stuff. So that's all. That's all my criticism is for that. And I think he's capable of doing it. I really do think so. So it's just that. It's just like we talked about Cedric Dubé. It's like kind of earn the respect and then
that's fair. That's fair. We got a main event, UFC Denver. Like we said, they're branching out. They're gonna be fighting in Denver. We got a main event. I'm telling you, they're listening to us. 5-round main event, July 13th. Thug Rose Namajunas will take on Macy Barber. 5-round main event. What a banger, kid.
Yeah, tough fight. I think it goes later, 4th, 5th round, favors Rose, to be honest. I think Macy Barber's going to have to throw the kitchen sink at her early and try to get those first 3 rounds. I think Rose, with the experience and just her ability, her technical ability. I think that she could edge out a split decision win in this one and then be on the rise for the weight class. But yeah, Macy Barber still to me is kind of the future. And if she, gets a finish over Rose Namajunas, I think you give her a title shot. I know that may sound crazy, but a finish over an ex-champion like that, and granted in a new weight class, I mean, she should be right behind, who is it, like Manon Fiorot, right?
So right now, obviously the champ, Grasso and Valentina, they're going to fight. Then number 2 is
that trilogy. Once that happens.
Yeah. And then it's Manel Fior at 2, 3, Erin Blanchfield and Macy Barber at 4, 5, Jessica Andrade and Rose is at 6. I'll say this, regardless of who wins this fight, they're next.
So it'd be Manon after the winner of the trilogy.
Joe, I'll be honest. I think they even pass on Manel Fior.
Wow, the Bilal treatment.
Just because she's boring. Like, if Macy Barber goes out there and finishes a Hall of Famer and Thug Rose, that's 7 in a row. You cannot deny her at this
point. Fiorot should have finished Erin Blanchfield. How outclassed Erin Blanchfield was on the feet. That's a fight you finish. And the fact that
people were leaving.
Yeah, that's just a bad thing. So
and they don't want to put that against whoever wins, whether it's Alexa Grasso.
How could you market that?
You can't. Whether it's even in France.
I was going to say.
And I like Manel Fior. I think she's a really good fighter. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But she doesn't move the needle.
No, and nor is there a personality behind it either. There's a language barrier. There's a lot going on. But yes, like you said, you could attract to the French crowd and maybe a fight night in Paris. But to cater an entire event for this one fighter, they need a lot of other pieces to move to get the card back to Paris, France.
And I know Rose, this is just her 3rd fight back in a new weight class, but regardless, her name holds a lot. If she goes out there and starches the future,
you put her back on a pay-per-view.
She's going to get the title shot next.
Yep.
There's no denying it.
You can throw back on the pay-per-view, and then Macy Barber, if it happens to be her, poses for an exciting matchup.
Yeah, love it. I think I might head out there that's around my birthday week, so I might head out there.
Up to the Red Rocks, huh?
Exactly, kid. And we're burying the lead. We finally got it, but we all kind of knew. Manchester.
I was hinting all episode.
We're headed to Manchester for 304, the main event. We all thought it might have been Tommy, but we knew they couldn't put an interim belt as the main event. The welterweight champion, Leon Edwards, will take on Bilal. Remember the name, Muhammad. July 27th, 5-round main event for the welterweight champion. We got the co-main event. Interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall will take on Curtis Blades. They finished the story. So apparently Tom Aspinall went on his YouTube and said they offered the first fight to Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane declined because he's in a movie. He's acting in a French movie. So he's obligated to finish out the contract. Dana White apparently was not happy.
I bet.
And you don't want to screw over. And he's giving you an interim title shot.
Nor was the UFC in on it. Like Conor had the UFC in on his film.
Yeah, he knew they were doing Roadhouse.
Did they get a piece of the pie? That's my thing. Yeah. Did the UFC get a piece of the pie for having Conor, or no? They just because it's Conor, they let him.
Well, but you remember at one of the main events or one of the pay-per-views, they filmed during the commercial break the Jake Gyllenhaal.
You know what? As a matter of fact, yes, I think that the UFC made some money from that movie. So that's the thing. If you could give a piece of the pie to them, they'll be all for it. But if you're going to hold out, then it's not going to bode well.
Not at all. So real quick on those two fights, do you agree how they scheduled it, and do you like the opponents?
Yeah, even though I do think it would have been argumentative that Tom Aspinall gets a headliner, and he's from Manchester as opposed to Leon being from Birmingham. But I'm thinking about to get a passport and go to that.
The whole card is great, kid. You got Bobby Green taking on Patty Biblin. I know they've been calling each other out, but I think that was the right fight to make.
Yes.
We got Manel Cat versus Muhammad Mokaev and Arnold Allen versus Giga Jacasey. Those are all fucking bangers, bro.
Bangers, bro. Yeah, that card is stacked, dude. And I wonder what the prelims are going to be like, because I bet you're going to get some more English fighters out there, maybe some Irish fighters. So man, 304 in the Co-op Arena, Manchester is going to be absolutely electric. I can't.
In a brand new arena, so hopefully all signs. I mean, they announced it, so it seems like what I said a week ago. All signs are looking like they'll be ready to go. Joe, I have a question for you. I did some research after we were talking on the phone. Tom Aspinall will become the 4th fighter in UFC history to defend the interim title at UFC 304 on July 27th. Can you name the other 3?
Defend interim. Tony Ferguson.
No.
Really? No, dude. Wow, that took the wind out of my sails right there.
Right off the bat.
Maybe Robert Whitaker.
No.
No, not even Robert Whitaker. Is this going back?
Yeah.
It's going back, dude. Damn, like
I'll give you one.
Tito Ortiz.
No.
Forrest Griffin.
No. First one I'll give you, Andre Orlovsky.
Wow. Was it like Tim Sylvia the champ and he was the interim?
Yes, correct. Can you
Damn,
name the other two?
Lighter weight classes?
I can't I can't help you there, kid.
Oh man. Maybe like a Matt Hughes.
Nope.
Or
Damn,
like
Joe.
Yeah, I'm burnt.
Yeah,
really,
I'll give him to you. Antonio Rodrigo
Antonio Rodrigo
Noguera, and the other one Renan Barado, Renan.
Who? What?
Renan Barado, Barao.
Oh, Henan Barao?
Renan Barao, yeah.
Oh, wow. He was interim. He defended the interim.
Yeah, Renan Barao.
Interesting. So Henan Barao, Andre Arlovsky.
Yeah, and
Antonio Rodrigo Noguera. I thought you said there was 4.
Tom Aspinall will be the 4th.
Oh, he will be the 4th. Okay, there you go. Wow, those are a great questionnaire, bro. And you know I don't look it up. I try to get it right off the
I know.
That's
knowledge. Why when we were talking on the phone, I was like, I think this is a good thing to ask him.
Yeah, that's great. See, there you go.
Speaking of France, and Paris, the UFC has announced they will return to Paris, France for a fight night event September 28th. And this is a perfect fight night for Manel Fiore. Maybe not headline, but co-main event. Yeah. I think she's still a fight away.
Wow. A lot of people could argue that, but I think based off, like you said, viewership and excitement, yeah, I think you could put her in one more fight before a title fight. And it's not the longevity. I think even Macy Barber has had a longer career in the UFC. So that's another thing based off merit in the UFC. Manel Fiore still has yet to prove that she can hang. So favorable matchup against Erin Blanchfield. Let's see her fight a good striker, someone her size.
Maybe Jessica Andrade.
Maybe, and attack the body, and then also has X factor with the jiu-jitsu. I mean, hey, that's
and I don't like to use the word gatekeeper, but if you could get through a Jessica Andrade, you're ready for a belt. You're ready, I feel like. So I like it, and I like how the UFC and just mixed martial arts in general is going to France. It's the capital right now of combat sports, and the 2024 PFL Europe Championship will take place on December 14th at the LDLC Arena in Lyon, France, where we just had the WWE a few weeks ago. Everyone is going to Lyon, France, baby.
Yep.
I love it. And then lastly, we got some boxing news. Our old friend, Darren Till, he will take on Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. On the Jake Paul Mike Tyson undercard July 20th at Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. At 190 pounds, 6 3-minute rounds. You like this?
So they're getting right on the card and that late of an announcement of the fight?
Well, they've already been on it for about 2-3 weeks. It just wasn't announced until this week. But yeah, it got put together kind of quick, apparently, to Darren Till. My question is, Julio Chavez, he has over 60 professional fights. This is Darren Till's first professional boxing fight.
Yeah, but he's fought cans is what people would argue, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So he has looked good. I know the experience is going to come into play, but Darren Till does have a lot of knockout power. And we talked about it before he jumps into the bare knuckle circuit. We were saying maybe take a glove boxing match so that he can get the feel of it. And but don't sleep with Darren Till. And he's competed in a ton of Muay Thai fights, a ton of kickboxing fights. And though it's different, the angles that you have to cut are going to be different, and you're just using your hands. He's got that power, bro. And I think Cesar Chavez Jr. could get knocked out. He's been really skinny, and he doesn't work hard. You see the work ethic. And I've heard arguments that Darren Till doesn't as well, but I digress. I think that Darren Till may work harder when it comes to that exchange. And we've seen him travel all over the world to get that work in the camp. So to all the naysayers, I think Darren Till works very hard, and I think he'll be ready. I think the training may come. He's going to come with an awkward style too. So I like the matchup for him, and I think it's smart. And if he, has a favorable win, maybe he doesn't jump to bare knuckle all that soon to fight Mike Perry, which, would be a fan favorite. Maybe he could stick around with boxing. But
to your point, people ask like, hey, like this is kind of like a short announcement. We're only about a little over a month and a half away from the fight. Do you think he was like, Darren Till was like, I've been in training camp for over 2 months already. I'm fucking ready. He kind of knew he wanted to go the boxing route, and he mapped out his thing, his plan for the year and for the next year. He said after he knocks out Julio, which he intends to do. He said he wants to fight Jake Paul, and then he wants to fight Mike Perry. He said
bare knuckle or in regular boxing.
That's still questionable. He didn't say. He said, listen, I'm not a fool. I'm not going to fight Mike Perry and bare knuckle in my first fight.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, so he's smart. I think he knows what he's doing. I just worry about the experience factor. Like, you're fighting a guy who has 60 professional fights, whether they're cans or not.
That's
I don't know.
a lot of experience in the cage.
A lot of ring time. And
square circle.
yeah, exactly.
Not the circled square.
Yeah. Fucking geometry, Jesus Christ. But other than that though, no news. We got a lot of fights announced, got a lot of events coming up in the near future, so we're locked and loaded, kid, and the UFC has never been bigger. But before we get out of here, BKFC, speaking of that, fight night in Omaha tonight. What do you got?
That's why I mentioned the circled square, and then we segue right from the bare knuckle. So perfect, right into 10 seconds left here. The segment, BKFC Fight Night Omaha. Carlos Trinidad Snake, -150. He's taking on Dustin Pog at +120. I got to go with Uzumaki. That's Trinidad Snake. I think he's explosive. Less losses in his MMA career, and he gets a lot of KO TKOs. Dustin Pay could get caught. So I got to go with the favorite here. I'll lay the 150. I'm all over Uzumaki. That's a sick nickname. And his name in general, Carlos Trinidad Snake. That's his real legit name. Got to take him in Omaha, Nebraska.
Let's fucking go, Joe. That's tonight. Can you catch that free or do you have to order that?
Prelims will probably be available on YouTube, but
Okay.
I think you'd have to get onto the Bare Knuckle TV app. Might be previewed elsewhere, so you got to just check them out. Maybe they did Triller in the past. I don't know if they got the deal with.
They didn't get
anybody
a linear deal just yet. I know Dave Feldman was on Ariel's show and he was talking about how.
But now with Connor, they should be getting something soon enough. So
and that's what he said. He said as soon as we announced the partnership with Connor, and
Everyone
apparently
was
everyone was contacting them. Apparently, Connor owns a lot of BKFC, which makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe we see him compete later in his life if he wants to.
Never count it out, Dave Feldman said. Never count it out. But yeah, he does have 2 fights left on his UFC deal. So until then,
we'll see him again.
Yeah. Joe, good luck tonight. We got Bellator starting in an hour. Yep. We got BKFC tonight. Then we got the biggest boxing fight of our life tomorrow.
Yeah, mine too. I haven't seen a bit. We were alive for 1999, but we didn't understand what was going on.
Exactly. We were just
we do.
Now we understand what the fuck's going on. But Joey, that is going to do it for this Friday edition of Axe Kick Picks. On behalf of our sponsor, Viva Tequila, Joey, I am D-Rock. Make sure you guys go along and follow our social media, X and Instagram at Axe Kick Picks. You guys can find all of our episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Please subscribe, rate, review, leave in the comments who you like this weekend. All that good stuff really helps the show grow tremendously. So be a friend. Tell a friend. Everyone, good luck this weekend. And let's go Knicks!